Yasuo is a legend that has a lot of movement, so if you like jumping back and forth between battlefields, making sure that you can get in the right position and even do some attacking before your opponent has a chance to react, then Yasuo might be the legend for you. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. Mobby here, and today I'm going to be giving you my personal deck profile for this green and purple Yasuo Unforgiven leader that comes out in the Origin set. So the whole game plan here is your early game has a bunch of minions and spells. You want to be playing your minions to basically, fill out the board and try to hold, but basically they're going to be weak. Your mid game is using all of those early game spells and making sure you have the correct ones, a little bit of draw power there, but it's all about the late game with this deck. Very, very powerful abilities, especially your champion. The more you move, you can do damage. You can even gain points outside of the normal way that you do so to win the game. So let's talk about every single card in this video breakdown. If you guys just want to see the deck profile, I recommend pausing the video and heading on over to my website, mobbytcg.com. There you can get this deck and any other deck in image and text format. Alright, so today we are going to be playing with proxies. This allows us to play IRL with friends with any card that we desire before they even come out. So, if you guys are interested in that, let's get started. Oh, one more thing to mention. Remember, this is just my own list. Obviously, there's tournament winner decks out there, but this is just one take on it, so you can make and, you can mix and match and make a deck that you really want yourself. Let's get started, starting with the lowest to highest cost card. I'll explain what the card does and maybe some tips here or there on how it works in the deck itself. So this is Yasuo Legend. Yasuo Unforgiven, green and purple. I totally forgot the names of these. So yeah, it only has one ability here, which is you tap 2 and the card itself. Move a friendly unit to or from your base. Now this is super good. As I mentioned, you're going to get a lot of benefits from moving cards multiple times during a turn and maybe even getting some when attacking, So it doesn't matter if the unit you want to move is active or if it's exhausted, you can move it. Or so you can keep stuff, so you can capture something, bring it back so it doesn't die. You can go ahead and the turn that you play something, if you have the extra 2 runes here, you can go ahead and move them in order to attack. This leader ability is insanely powerful, but it's once per turn because you have to have this tapped. All right, so we are currently running in this deck 4 purples. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 8 greens, calm and chaos. Let's talk about the 3 stages that I'm particularly using in this deck. And if you guys want to see duels with this, make sure to like and sub. It really helps out the channel. I'll be putting a link in the comments below to some videos that we've already have on the channel that you can see of us with this particular deck in action. Thank you so much. All right, so the first battlefield we're going to be talking about is Windswept Hillock. Units here have ganking. Now, ganking means as long as they can move, as long as they're here and they have a regular movement, they can simply tap and move to the other battlefield instead of always going just back and forth between the base and the battlefield. So this is really important, as I mentioned, because it just allows you to have a lot of power on one area and just you have the option to just move out and really do some damage there. It's pretty self-explanatory for the deck. Usually you want to go back and forth between the battlefield to your base, but here you can skip a step and go straight to the other battlefield if it works for you. The next card is going to be the Obelisk of Power. At the start of each player's beginning phase, that player channels 1 rune. Usually at the beginning of every game, first player gets 2 runes, second player gets 3. With this stage in play, first player 3, second player 4. Now, why is that important? It's because, remember, your whole game plan is building up your cards up until your late game, which you can use to move around more with your spells and also protect. So this one allows you to have a no-brain way to wrap up 1 at the beginning of the game. So you will benefit more, hopefully, than your opponent on getting this. Next, it's going to be your 3rd stage, which is going to be Back Alley Bar. When a unit moves from here, give it +1 this turn. Now, it could be moved from here from any way. So your opponent, so if you move it there from that turn and move it out, you still get it. If you have that unit hold and you move it from that turn, you still get the benefit. So basically, you have units with ganking here. You can move out, they get +1 damage. You move it back to your base, they get 1. You can move it somewhere else, etc. So this one just helps you get that little bit of extra power, because with Yasuo, you're most likely going to have way more movement abilities than your opponent, so you can, make use of this. All right, let's talk about the seals that we're running in the deck. We are running one Seal of Discord, so you can tap this as any reaction that you want, and you add one purple that you can use as a floating resource in order to recycle, etc. Now, as usual, you usually only want to play this when you are actually going to be using a recycle for that turn. So you basically would tap any card. You can tap any card, mostly a purple card, right? You tap the purple, you have a floating purple, then when you play on a future action that turn, a purple card, you use that floating to get out, then you put this on there. So basically that's how you make the most use of these sort of seals. So we're running one purple and two greens. Now you have to think about how many cards in your deck actually have recycle. If you are running a ton of green recycles, obviously you put more seals in here, purple recycles, etc. If you are barely running any recycles, you can move these out and you can just, you know, free it up for more cards, and that's how you basically want to run these seals. So you can see here with 1 and 2 basically means we have a lot of green recycle and a little bit of purple recycle. That's how it goes. All right, time for your early game. Mystic Poro, cost 2 mites, 1 ability, Vision. When you play this card, so you play it anywhere in the battlefield or straight into your base later, base or when your battlefield when you have it active. Look at the top card of your main deck, you may recycle. This is a really solid card. There is no specific Poro synergy in this deck, but it's all about getting your really amazing late game cards. I'm specifically talking about either the Yasuo Windrider or the Yasuo Remorseful. These two cards are definitely going to help you win the game 100%. And there's only 3 of those in the deck. Mystic Poro allows you to make sure, hey, the top card isn't what I need. I'm going to discard it so we can maybe have a better chance of getting exactly what you need. If you don't have a really good early game card you want to play, having these sort of support cards that help you sift and look for the cards you specifically need, right here. All right, next off we have Tide Turner. Now you might not run these in here, but I found out this might work out because once again, you are all about moving and doing things, and this one has potential to do that. So this one costs 2, has 2 mites, 1 ability here, which is hidden. You may play me. When you play me either regularly or from hidden, you can choose a friendly unit, move me to its location and it to my original location. This video is being recorded before all of the errata official images have come out, but basically it does the same thing. So this is how you want this to work. You either just throw it on your first turn, so you have a unit on the field, then on the next turn, you can just move it to somewhat maybe capture a battlefield so you're not too behind in battlefields. But if you really want to use it with its hidden ability, you have to go ahead and, you know, own a battlefield, play this as hidden, and then you can go ahead and activate it as a reaction. One really cool thing that you can do with this specific deck is late game. When you actually have, for example, this Yasuo, which is Windrider. The 3rd time I move in a turn, you score 1 point. It has a standard move where you tap it, you move it. Then you can, you have the Tide Turner, which is basically you can swap it. So this is really cool, because if you have that Yasuo on a battlefield, you can activate the Tide Turner itself, where you can put this on the field in your base, move that Yasuo, swap it around. That's 1 move and it's still active. You can tap it, move it to that same battlefield or another one if you think you can conquer it. Then, after all that goes down, then boom, you have your 2nd move. And remember, when you move 3 times, you score a point. With your leader's ability, you can move a friendly unit to or from your base with tapping 2 runes. So you can move it back and forth, and just like that, you can get a free extra point during a turn. And that's one way this Tide Turner can be activated in this deck. So it's a really cool ability. Running 3 of these. Next is the Siren. I'm only running 1 of these stages. This one costs a gear. This one is tap 1 and itself. Move a friendly unit to a battlefield to your base. It's exactly why the Tide Turner is in here. It's just a lot of different ways for you to continue moving things back and forth. And even if you're not using that specific Yasuo, maybe you have stuff on the board that you really need to get to another battlefield, where you can use all these abilities, especially this one, to keep gathering your units to one specific place that you want. Then with all of those units, special action or standard move them all somewhere else. So this is what allows you to do so. So there you go. Move a friendly unit at a battlefield to your base. While this one is to and from. This one's just back to your base though. All right, now for Fight or Flight, you're gonna see a lot of big theme here of just moving around. This is another one. So this one costs 2. It's a hidden, but you can also play it as an action. Move a unit from a battlefield to its base, exactly the same thing. So this one is a friendly unit, while this one is any unit. So lots of good ways to use it. As I mentioned, you can use it on that Yasuo that's active, throw him back, have him move somewhere else, and then use this guy again to do some random stuff. And then, or you can use it as a hidden, you know, during a match or during a showdown to really mess with your opponent and get that little bit of edge by moving one of their strong units out. Or you could just, you know, use it to move anything before you even do stuff. So this is a really solid card. It's a good card in general, right? Even though it doesn't remove anything, it's important to just capture as much as you can, and this one will really help you do it. So I'm running 2 of these. Next, we have Ride the Wind, yet another spell. This one, however, costs 2 plus a recycle of a purple. Action: move a friendly unit and ready it. I mean, I don't know how much I need to reiterate this, but anything that lets you move, super powerful with this deck. More so than this one, it's move a friendly unit and then ready it. Meaning Yasuo can be played the base. It can then you can move it and ready it with this, do its thing. Use the standard move to move it back. Use your leader ability, your legend ability to move it again, and then in that same 3 turns again, easy peasy. There's different ways you can absolutely play this deck. You have 2 of the Yasuos, like I said, which is this one, where you want to keep moving and gaining a point. Then you're going to be using this Yasuo to, when I attack, deal damage to my might to an enemy unit. So you are either moving back and forth a lot and avoiding your opponents because they're super annoying. Maybe you're playing against a Teemo, right? A Teemo who has a Bandle Tree, which they can hide 2 cards there. You never want to move there. Keep going back and forth between your own bases and the own battlefield that you own. You can easily win that way. Or if they have like an Ari, right, that gains points or something, or I think a Sona, the one that gains points as long as they hold the battlefield, you might get multiple points per turn over them. So 2 avenues of victory here, which is use your little guys to gather a battlefield. Then you can decide whether or not how the match is going. You want to keep going back and forth to get points, or using that super crazy other strong Yasuo to destroy their board. And this one is just another one that helps you do so. Running 3 of these. Now, meditation. It's nice to have some sort of draw cards in the deck, and this is one that I decided to use here. This one costs 2 as a reaction or a spell you just played out. As an additional cost, you may exhaust a friendly unit. If you do, draw 2, otherwise draw 1. The exhausting a friendly unit to draw 1 is not really that much of an issue, because usually, maybe when you hold the battlefield, maybe you're just leaving the small unit there and you don't want to move. Just tap it. It's not a problem at all. So this one helps you just draw cards. So it's really important that you get to do that. Next is Flash. Here we go again. This one costs 2 as a reaction. Move up to 2 friendly units to a base, or regular, not an action, but reaction or regular. 2 friendly units to base. I mean, I'm not going to say it again. Move, move, move. It's all about moving. But just remember, it's up to 2 friendly units. Usually, it's going to be just that one straight Yasuo, unless you're trying to move everything out in order to, once again, move again. Because if you play them when they're readied, that's really good. Like, if 2 units are ready when you play this on, like, your following turn, move 2, then both of them can go do some attacking. So just keep in mind that you can continue using this for just the single Yasuo play, or if you really need to set things up, 2 units back, and then they can move if they were active at the start of your turn for this. Okay, so 1. Let's move over 2, and yeah, you have a ton of really, that's why I said your early game is a little weak. It's just like a bunch of tiny units to maybe capture a battlefield, but it's all about those spells to really help your late game minions. Next is Caitlyn Patrolling. This one costs 3 might, 1 green, recycle. I must be assigned combat damage last, meaning during a showdown, after everything is resolved, then your opponent and you guys worry about whether or not, you know, where to do damage from. If you don't completely lose out, this one will be assigned combat damage last, meaning it's a higher chance for this one to survive a battle if you win or lose. So here we go. Tap this. Deal damage equal to my might to a unit at a battlefield. Use this while this one is only at a battlefield. If you go through the former strat, like I said, where you're going to be keep moving a Yasuo back and forth, you might just keep this at a battlefield and continuously tap it every single turn in order to chip a little bit on your opponent's field if they have little weak units that you can knock out right away. You can also tap it there, and then, you know, because no showdown or anything has happened, you can do damage. It'll keep that damage, and then you can start moving units there in order to do that. So this one is really versatile, but it's an early game card with a little bit of recycle, which is, you know, you got to be very wary of. You don't want to throw it too much because you still want to, you know, work towards your late game. But this one just really helps out if it can work. But it's going to be a super high priority target that your opponent will want to remove. Next off, the Sunlit Guardian 3/3. Has 2 abilities. They're both passive, shield and tank. So shield, +1 while I'm a defender. This one lends towards the sort of turtling, as I said, for the Yasuo moving back and forth. It'll be a 4 if your opponent attacks into it. And then tank, I must be assigned combat damage first. This one just helps a lot of your other small minions stay in play, stay in play. It's a really nice and simple card. It's good because it's 4 when you're defending, and of course it doesn't require a recycle. So when you build a deck, just remember, you want cards without recycle too. You want a good mix of it, otherwise you're gonna be recycling way too much and you won't be able to play late game cards. Next is going to be Last Breath. So these are your signature spells for Yasuo. Cost 3, and you can recycle either a green, a purple, or a mix of both. Oh, 2 of them. Action, you can play on your turn or during showdowns. Ready a friendly unit. It deals damage. It deals damage equal to its might to an enemy unit at a battlefield. So you exactly see how it works. You can ready a unit. So this says here it deals damage to an enemy at a battlefield, meaning this particularly unit doesn't even have to be at a battlefield. It can, you can summon it straight out here on your battlefield, activate this, it goes up, it hits something, and then maybe that was the last unit. You can go in there and easily grab it, or they're a little weak and you can go in there and do stuff. So lots of ways to use this. Is an extremely powerful card. You don't even specifically have to use it on a Yasuo, which is great, though it's mostly used for that because it's a signature spell. But yeah, it's a little bit of removal, but it's also movement ability. You definitely don't want to play this early. Removing 2 runes, no bueno. Unless you somehow get all of your seals, then yeah, of course, recycle as much as you want. So 3 of these. Now, time for Wind Wall. We're only running 1 of these in here. This is an early game card you want to save till late game. 3 and 2 green recycles. As you can see now, why we're using a ton of, a lot of seals here, because there's a lot of recycling here. So, as you can use this as reaction. Counter a spell. There's a lot of really amazing spells in the game. This one allows you to simply counter it. Now, what specific spells do you want to counter that your opponent throws out? Well, specifically ones that mess with your late game units, like your Yasuo that moves like, a bunch of times during a turn. Your opponent's like, well, if he keeps moving it, I'm going to destroy it with his ability, and then you can counter it. So really good. You might run one more than one, but like I said, I'm trying to balance it out from having too many green recycles. Okay. Now for your mid to late game here, we have Stealthy Pursuer. This one's just a little strong, helps you win stuff. 4 might, 1 purple recycle. When a friendly unit moves from my location, I may be moved with it. So if this unit is in the base, you have a Yasuo that moves, this one will move with it, and then this will stay active. If this is exhausted and someone moves, it'll keep going back and forth. So technically, you can have like 1 or 2 pursuers on the board, right? You can have him here, put a Yasuo out, and you can move them all over the place, and then this will move with it. So this is freaking annoying. Also, it doesn't specifically say it just has to be moved. It can be ganked. So if you have like your ganking stage, and this is in the stage, you can move with it because the unit added gank. So that's pretty funny. Okay, time for Mystic Reversal. It's another. This is another spell, guys. So 4 and 3 recycle. That's a lot, right? Reaction. Gain control of a spell. You make new choices for it. So we're not going to go into how specifically this will work in the deck. It's exactly as it says. Basically, you're going to play it at the same time that you might want to play a Wind Wall, where you definitely want to counter out of something that's going to really swing and turn the tides of battle. Instead of just simply countering it, you can actually do more stuff. So if your opponent's like, I'm going to do something that does 8 damage to one of your units, instead of countering it, you can pay a lot more to be like, I'm going to do something, and I'm going to take control and deal damage to one of your minions, and then basically a ton of damage is done. You just win. So it's just a much better version of the counter spell, but we're only winning 1 because you really don't need more than 1. Okay, let's talk about your champion. So you can either run with the Yasuo Windrider champ, or you could run with the Yasuo champ as your main champ to start in the middle of the game, at the beginning of the game. It's really up to you depending on how you see the match going. If you go super late, maybe just go for the 6 cost. If you want to go quick and early and your opponent's turtling, maybe you run this one instead as your main one. So 5/4 and 1 purple. Ganking, so it can move from a battlefield without the need of ganking on the field itself. The 3rd time I move, you score 1 point. We talked about this. Every single card itself, moving 1. Use this. Oh, yeah, you use one of the spells to move it back. Use this, cost 2, move it back. 3 points already. It's really good. So it says the 3rd time I move in a turn, I move. I don't know if you can do it multiple times. So maybe someone can let me know in the comments, because I've never even had an opportunity where I can move it 5 to 6 times in 1 turn. I don't know how that works, but basically this is so good. They're really weak in general, but man, the ability to just score those points, it's going to be very elusive as well, because even if your opponent keeps, using spells like, oh, this one attacks something at a battlefield, you can just move it back with your spell so it doesn't get hurt, stuff like that. So powerful if your opponent is turtling. All right, time for this card, This card's super crazy good. It's annoying as hell. So cost 6 might, recycle 2 greens. When I attack, deal damage equal to my might to an enemy unit here. Exactly as it says. This is a when attacking ability essentially. So if you do a standard move, you attack to go do a showdown. When defending, when attack resolves, you will do 6 damage to a unit here, knocking hopefully somebody out. Then a showdown will happen. You can have multiple units to go with them at once, and you can even strengthen that. And it's every time you attack, so even though this guy has 6 and maybe you're attacking a unit that also has 6, this will destroy them before anything can happen unless they also have abilities. But you can basically go in, match them, destroy them, conquer, and then move them around or leave them there. It does a lot of crazy stuff. It's an insanely good card. It's really dumb, but that's why it costs like 8 resources total, right? Tap 6, recycle 2. And that's why you have a bunch of the green recycles in the game. Okay, next is Kayn here, Unleashed. So 6, 6, and 1 purple. So this one has ganking as well. If I have moved twice this turn, I don't take damage. So different ways to use this. Obviously, you can just use it as a 6 body to go some stuff. But if you want to use the second ability, what's the best case scenarios to use it? Well, as he said, move twice. So go ahead and do the double twice. But for the second movement, without taking damage, you throw it straight into an opponent's battlefield. This guy won't die. He'll get pushed back to your base, but then you do 6 damage to distribute amongst their stuff. So if this guy's attacking alone, it won't freaking die. He doesn't take damage. It's really annoying, and it's just, like I said, it's all about your late game. If you somehow don't get your Yasuos, you can still use this to keep moving around and keep it alive with a lot of stuff. Okay, time for the final card of the deck. This is going to be Tasty Faithful. This one costs 7, 6 with no recycle. This one can be accelerated, meaning you tap another one and a rune. So basically this will be 8 tap plus 1 green recycle. This has Death Knell. Channel 2 runes exhausted and draw 1. So meaning when this character dies. Why is this card in here? Basically, this is a big body on the board and it doesn't cost a rune. Right? You have a lot of cards in your deck that allows you to simply throw this on the field, exhausted, but then you can move it if you want, so you can go ahead and just attack. Remember, you're early and mid game, it's all about getting cards to support your large cards. So even if you don't end up drawing your Yasuos, your Kayns, you can still have something like this to really help even out the odds and really help out your late game. You can also just accelerate it too. Any deck with accelerate, I think you definitely run a couple of them in there. It just really turns the tide. Like maybe you have a standstill, every unit on the field got destroyed, but you need to conquer one more or something to win. You can accelerate and then just win without having to wait for a unit to be exhausted. You can throw this out and you can go ahead and recycle it, and then you throw out a tiny Poro, use your leader ability, and then it moves it, and then you get 2 in 1 turn, that sort of thing. So that's why you have accelerate in the deck. And that is the Yasuo deck that I'm particularly running. Remember guys, this is not a perfect deck. This is just one that I made. I'm not really looking at any tournament decks. I'm just trying to go from what I feel like works. And later on, in a future set, we can go ahead and refine and expand. But I feel like this is a really fun deck. This is probably one of the very strongest decks out there, at least from all of the cards that I've played. So if you guys are interested, we have duels featuring this deck, a lot of the other decks, and upcoming I'm going to be covering every single champion. So let us know what you guys think. Thank you so much for watching. Like and sub, it really helps out, and just comment below which legend do you want me to cover next on the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.